If you're not paranoid by now, it's probably too late. Leave the World Behind is a Netflix original from writer director Sam Call Me Esmail, who did the USA Network series Mr. Robot starring Rami Malek, based on a novel by Ruman Alam, whose book only came out a few years ago but caught the attention of quite a few people, including one powerful person in Hollywood, Julia Roberts, who has a near 4-decade-long career under her belt, under her skirt, under her feet, under her goddamn armpits, for all I goddamn know. I don't know where she keeps her career. It's not my week to watch her. But Julia Roberts has her own production company, being an A-list actress with a huge, huge list of hits. She basically said, hey, Mr. Ruman, we don't want to alarm you, but we want to buy the rights to your book, and we want to turn this into a movie, a hit movie. We want to pay you a handsome fee. We want to put more money behind this project. We want to bring your passion, your work to life, and we want to bring it to the world. And then we're going to shop this around to various studios and streaming services. What platform will pay us the most for this? And what's that, Netflix? How much are you going to give us? Okay, you got a deal. We'll shake on it. We've got a hit on our hands. So what's the plot of this hit? So basically you have Amanda, played by Julia Roberts, and Clay, played by Ethan Hawke, who really had a bit of a career resurgence thanks to last year's The Black Phone, even though Ethan Hawke has made some weird choices as far as projects, but Ethan Hawke is pretty revered as a really nice guy, and he gets it as far as Hollywood, and he's somebody that a lot of people like. So you have two actors like that, okay, and then you have their children. You have, Archie, Edith, we're supposed to be incognitus. Teenage boy who is very angsty and likes girls, and there you go. That's pretty much your lot right there. And then you have their daughter, Rose, who is tethered to her technology, shall we say, so tethered that she is just all flustered after they decide to go to a vacation, almost sudden vacation out of nowhere, Cinderella story, and the internet's acting up, and she's right almost at the end of watching the finale of Friends. What will happen with Ross and Rachel? Why do people ever like Friends? I'll never fucking... Just a sidebar here. Why did people ever like Friends? I mean, nothing against the actors. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. Very tragic, very sudden passing. Nothing against the people, but just the concept. It was such bullshit. It was such a bad show. That Seinfeld and a few other, long-running series came out in the 90s and all that. Just, I will never understand why people like Friends. That being said, now that I've run off every single fan of Friends and Seinfeld alike, let's get back to the plot of this. So, going to this, sudden vacation out of nowhere, it's really nice. Whose woods these are, I have no clue. They're around a little woodsy area, but they only have a short little jaunt to this beach. And everything seems nice, and then weird shit starts going on. Very weird shit, where they realize, holy goddamn crap, what the hell's going on? The cell phones aren't working. The TV's not working. What's going on? Is it a cyber attack? Is it, the creatures from Moonfall? Is mounting moon terror continuing to grip the cities? Are we getting, mole people coming up from under the earth? What is actually happening? What's happening? Oh, hi, rerun. What's going on? Will we get answers? Maybe we get answers when other characters get introduced, like G.H. Scott, played by the gentleman with the last name of Ali and a first name that I tend to screw up trying to pronounce. The guy from Moonlight, the actor from Moonlight. He's really goddamn good. He's been great in other stuff as well. And his daughter, Ruth. I farted. If you get that, I love you guys. They actually own this particular house. And they they had a particular event that led them to coming there. And yeah, let's just say as things go on, shit starts to get a little bit more fucked. There's a lot of talking. There's the inclusion of songs by Blackstreet and Next. I did not expect that. And from there, we have a movie that is 141 minutes of pretty good actors trying to make the most of a film that has about enough material to cover half of this runtime. So I do want to say it's an amalgamation of stuff like Knock at the Cabin, just without Batista's terrific performance, or Rupert Grint coming back to acting for that for some reason. It does remind you of a lot of M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong, Chang, Shabab. Remember when he made good movies almost 15 years ago? Oh yeah, 15 years ago, by the way, The Happening came out. Also, it has a few elements of The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Kind of, maybe, sort of. has a Twilight Zone feel if you took all the personality, interest, and everything out of the Twilight Zone and then just said, here, we're going to present this to you. Am I tipping my hand as to how I felt about this fucking goddamn abomination, abortion of a fucking movie yet? Oh, I'm pretty much telling you right here. Because I hated this. I absolutely hated this goddamn movie. And I gave it a fair chance. I'm not the biggest Julia Roberts fan. But when she is on, she's really goddamn good. You know, she's had a lot of really terrific performances. Ethan Hawke. And even the actors playing the kids, they do their best. And that's the thing. There's talent as far as the cast. The writing is absolute dog shit. It's just piling on stuff, not really giving an explanation. Look, I don't need my hand held and giving me an explanation or leading me around until I don't mind stuff being left open-ended. But when it's left so goddamn open-ended, like somebody did a proctology exam and used the jaws of life to open the ass even more, to tunnel back in on itself, and go back up its own ass and, you know, get all attached like it's the Human Centipede trilogy. What am I on about? I don't know. It ends up being a movie that has ideas and doesn't know how to present them. It's also been, the concept itself has been done a whole lot better in a lot of other movies. I would argue this somehow was more laughable than The Happening because this went longer than The Happening. I can't believe that something might actually equal The Happening with how bad this was. And this reminded me of the setup of Bird Box, except Bird Box at least had something that halfway could have worked. Thankfully, there are no shadow creatures that make you go nuts or kill Sarah Paulson off for no goddamn reason in the beginning of it. But yeah, for all the talent, you know, as far as, you know, like cast and as far as anybody producing this, Barack and Michelle Obama also helped produce this. I'm not getting political here. They're listed as producers. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really goddamn care. This got a lot of attention. I don't know what the budget is, but I know it was too goddamn much. Even with the cast, there is no excuse for a movie with this level of talent. Even with Sam Call Me Esmail, who I really hope has to go back to directing TV until he learns his fucking lesson, because whatever the fuck he was trying to do here did not fucking work at all. You have other supporting roles. You have Kevin Bacon in this. Kevin Bacon basically just bopped in and out a couple times here. And this had chapter breaks and everything to explain all the stuff that was going on. The thing is by the time you get any of the setup, it doesn't really matter. Like, none of this matters. And it's just a stretched out version of Knock at the Cabin. Which is saying something, because outside of Dave Bautista's role, I hated Knock at the Cabin. Because I thought it just wasn't emotional, it wasn't good, it wasn't original, it wasn't really anything interesting. And Knock at the Cabin's way better than this. Not just because it's shorter, but because at least you got one pretty good acting performance. You got good actors trying to make the most of really bad material here. This was really bad. There was one line, I fucking hate people. Well, yeah, that pretty much describes how I feel about anybody that thought that this was a good idea as far as studio executives go. I'm not talking about if other viewers like this movie, great. I hope you got something out of it. But there was nothing original about this. It lacked every bit of originality. It felt sanded off and safe, and the character motivations were also totally goddamn off. Like, there's this almost, just like hammering of racism and everything, under the guise of not trusting some people because of a particular job. And I'm talking about the character. I'm not talking about the actual actors. And for all the ideas that could have worked in this, none of them did. None of them did. And yeah, building up to something where, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, would have worked if you gave a shit about any of the setup, which I didn't. And there were a few particular scenes I'll talk about in the spoilers here in a minute that I was laughing my ass off at. There is one about halfway through involving cars that I absolutely lost it at. I actually was seeing spots because I was laughing so goddamn hard and so loud. Oh my God. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking doing this and making the film like this. But yeah, Sam Esmail, you need to go back to doing TV because you don't really have the talent to do any goddamn film if this is the best you can fucking do. This is not thought-provoking. This is a bunch of, ideas from other movies. Human Centipede with really, really bad writing and, actors that are doing their best, but just characters that are just absolutely one note and very, very terrible. This is really, really fucking terrible. I'm going to get into spoilers. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. But I got to talk about some shit that I just I just have to get into it. I just have to get into it because I can't wait. I don't want to wait for this to be over. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, so one thing I noticed about this movie right off the bat was the very blue room. It's blue, dabba-dee-dabba-die. It's blue, dabba-dee-dabba-die. Very blue. Blew his house with a blue rear window and a blue Corvette, and everything is blue for him. That is very blue. Holy fuck, that's blue. Sudden vacation? Why the hell not? Why are they going there? Why not? So, could they be getting away from their jobs? Could they be getting away from each other? No, they're all going together. The stupid hip-hop opening. Really bad hip-hop. Whoever did that really needs to rethink their life choices. Leave the world behind. And just, just go and do whatever. But there's this funny thing where they have the power symbol carved into this one particular area. Gee. Almost like we're making a meta commentary about technology and how reliant we are on it. I get it, movie. You need to actually be funny if you're going to present it as a dark comedy, or you need to actually be good presenting unoriginal ideas as something that you feel could actually work, except this movie doesn't do that. Part 1 is the house. There was a song by Blackstreet. I did not know Blackstreet was still making making music, no diggity, and I'd like to bag it up. Or is it Back It Up? I haven't listened to that song in a while. I need to listen to that. Kevin Bacon is in this town. This town that reminded me of Ocean Shores. If you were Washingtonian, you may get that. And Kevin Bacon just shows up, and he's loading supplies into his goddamn house. Or into his truck to take to his house, seemingly. And what are you doing? A lot of water. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon's water. So, they're a shiny, happy couple holding hands. And the technology keeps going in and out and everything. And then eventually the internet just totally fucking goes out. It basically is like Knock at the Cabin because weird shit starts going on. So there's this funny moment where this oil tanker just, rushes. It's like it's speed 2 cruise control. All of a sudden, like this ship just crashes on. And why is this ship crashing on the goddamn, sand? What the hell's going on here? You're not supposed to actually do that. What's wrong with you? Oh, ship. And then you have G.H. Scott, played by the guy from Moonlight, who shows up, and this is actually his and his daughter's house. The wife is on vacation in Morocco. He left his ID at the symphony. And I can understand at first Amanda's reservations and maybe, Clay being a little bit too trusting. But if they say this is their house and they have keys for it, there it is. There's a distrust, there's that kind of stuff, and everybody's already freaked out about all this. Then the National Emergency Broadcast System plays, and things always look better by the light of day. Good old cliche. It's a cliche on this sunny day. And, yeah, Rose is just still upset because, my God, she, can't see the finale of Friends. And I understand being tethered to technology, but good God. Amanda still feels something is off, and it's a cyber attack across the country. We see a little blip of CNN, Cyber News Network, I guess. Part 2, The Curve, that Clint Eastwood had trouble with, and then they're talking about paranoia and everything, and there's no need to be paranoid. Well, if you're not paranoid by now, then, it's probably too late. Ruth has 96 tattooed on her goddamn, shoulder right here. That could mean something. I don't goddamn know. The kids end up going into the woods. There's a whole bunch of deer that are around also at one point that Rose sees, and it's like a lot of deer. It is like probably about 1,000 deer, and they're just all gathered around. Why? Who the hell knows? Maybe nature is pissed at us. Nobody's talking to a plastic plant yet, but we get something even more hilarious a little bit later. So Amanda's just still getting upset. All this shit's going on. She is in advertising. She has to explain a lot of stuff to people and get them to buy shit they don't need. Clay's a professor. Ruth is figuring it out. They still all don't trust each other. But Stockholm Syndrome, except that's not right because nobody's kidnapped. There was something called a love you bug. It was something for 2 teenagers in the Philippines, and it wiped out a whole bunch of stuff in the early 2000s, which I sort of remember hearing about. And then the cell service is still out, and There's talk of power plants, issues, 3 Mile Island and all that. It would be easy to hack the system and all this flowery language and all this stuff that has no resolution. And even if it had a resolution, I still wouldn't be happy with it. The only resolution I was happy with was when this movie was over. And there's a giant face that I believe is Andre the Giant, a portrait of him. And it says, obey, do you get it, do you get it? So Archie and Rose are in a shack. The shack where weird shit's going on. It's like the shack where it's staring out at this neighbor's house. All the houses are far away because it's the vacation area. And there's also this weird, indent in the dirt, like it's a body or a giant tire track. Who the hell goddamn knows? Maybe a wolf man lives there. That would have actually been more interesting. So, then everybody separates. GH, or George, rather, I'm just going to call him George, decides to go to one of the neighbors, and the neighbor's house is totally fucked by water. What the hell is happening? He goes onto the beach. Body parts, bodies everywhere. Our Lord and Savior's corns were right. Jonathan Davies absolutely spoke the truth. That's a deep cut reference for people that know 90s music. And while all this crazy stuff's going on, this jet is flying. And suddenly crashes. Just crashes. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, oh my goodness. This water floods into the house, and George is all wet. He had this satellite phone that he can't get to work. Maybe the satellites are out. We get cuts to the satellites above the planet. Are the satellites being hacked? Are the satellites taking over? Is it, the microbes from Apollo 18? I would have welcomed that at this point, because at least it would have taken me away from this movie. So then birds fly away because they've got to get away. They want to fly away. Yeah. So maybe the satellites have been hacked. Maybe all this stuff has gone on. Maybe the writers are just lazy and decide to keep throwing stuff at the goddamn screen to see what's stuck. And then there's this noise, this loud, piercing noise that leads to chapter 3. And then it's a sonic boom. Curse you, Guile, curse you. Kylie Minogue looked great in the Street Fighter movie. And Ming-Na Wen looked even better as Chun-Li. Ming-Na Wen is 60 and looks incredible. She's not in this movie, sadly. She would have helped it. So, yeah, there's this guy, Danny. Oh, hi, Danny, played by Kevin Bacon, who was a contractor that helped build that particular house for George and Ruth. And George and Ruth, by the way, are having these arguments. Ruth feels that George is too trusting. George is like, this is going to work out. Says something about his client and all this weird shit that's happening. But these houses are prepared. Some are prepared with bunkers, even though things are crashing and all this apocalyptic stuff is going on. So Clay decides the bright idea is to drive around, and then he runs into this, or almost runs into this lady that's only speaking Spanish. He doesn't understand her, and even though he wants to help, he has to eventually drive away because he can't, all the road signs, all this stuff's gone, and he can't find his way around. And then all these flyers suddenly from this plane are being dropped, and it says "Death to America." It's an old Japanese or Chinese thing or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know what that movie was trying to go for. I mean, Death to America, you can Google that stuff. But I don't know what the movie's trying to go for. Oh, they're giving this idea. Maybe it's this cabal, this evil cabal that George refers to as taking over the goddamn world. Yeah, I mean, that would actually explain how a movie like this got released. Because the evil cabal is trying to drive everybody nuts. So the family decides to leave. That doesn't end up working out all that well. Ruth thinks that the mother has died. We don't see the mother, so let's just presume that she's behind all this and she's sick of her family and wants to leave them behind. So the funniest part is about an hour, 15 or so minutes in. Driving along, and they see this road filled with, brand new, they were brand new, wrecked Teslas, all self-driving, all that. And they're piled up. They're piled up as far as the eye can see. And they're looking around. Julia Roberts is out. And then Ethan Hawke is trying to flag this guy down, or this car down. And they're all self-driving. They don't have anything. And she says, get the car back up and everything. And they have to dodge all these Teslas that are flying by and everything. And damn you, Elon. Their technology has destroyed the world. How many installed Teslas or broken Teslas does it take to cause the apocalypse? Evidently all of them. And they wrecked a lot of Teslas. Boom, 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 boom. They're driving around. I've just seen spots because I was laughing so goddamn hard. I mean, I'm trying not to, laugh too much here, but it was just so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. So terrible. But so hilarious. And then more stuff where, like, Clay and Ruth are talking. She asks, have you ever slept with one of your students? There's talk about, like, jobs and stuff going on. George and Amanda are talking. Seemingly Archie is not doing all the well. He's getting a little bit sick because he got bitten by a bug a little bit earlier while they were out at that shack. Oh, no. And Rose is just whatever. She still wants to watch Friends, goddammit. She's all upset. It's a terrible show, Rose. You have better things going on in your life besides this movie. And then George talks about his, a guy he knows that's very powerful in the world of defense, very high up, evil cabal rules the world, more flowery language. The last thing he said to him on the phone when he wouldn't meet for drinks is, take care of yourself. It's like he knew something was going to go on. And George actually knows what the hell's going on. And then they just, the scene that absolutely just made me say that this movie can eat shit isn't actually anything that's horrifying except for just the visual of it, is Julia Roberts dancing to Too Close, or Next by Too Close. Or Too Close by Next, I think is the actual... I know the song, but goddamn it, I totally messed that up. But just her dancing to that, I go, I never wanted to see this. I never wanted to see this. And it's almost like her and George are going to get together, but no! And then the noise hits, this piercing noise. It's breaking more glass and everything and all this stuff. And shattering windows and shattering iPads. And then just stay and don't do anything. Don't do anything, even though the light bulbs have burst and we got to go by candlelight. There's still the lack of trust. Part 5 is the last one. Thank fuck we are at the last one, by the way. Go to Danny's house. Because Archie is losing his teeth. From the bug bite, from whatever, Lyme disease, it doesn't really goddamn matter at this point. I would have rather almost had Lyme disease. I think his movie is Lyme disease, is actually what I think it is. George says to Ruth, 1 hour, I'll be back. So, Ruth and Amanda go to this shack to look for Rose, who's disappeared. And there was this reference to this house that you could see from the shack and everything, this neighbor's house. So where do you think Rose went? I could only assume she was assumed into heaven. I have to go. My planet needs me. Rose died on the way back to her home planet. That being said, what ends up happening is we get more discussion. Hooray! Between Amanda and Ruth. Ruth is like, why are you like this? Why do you carry all this hate? It's the hate that you give. What do you get out of being angry all the time? Shut up. This is not about me. She has had to sell people bad advertising, shit they don't need. She did it to Ruth and her dad. Apparently, I guess. That is just totally out of left field and is never referenced again. By the way, we're near the end of the movie and we've had absolutely nothing going on. Danny's there. Humanity is fucked. Danny basically has this, has medicine, possibly, maybe. He's hoarded all this stuff, and all this crazy stuff's going on. There's a standoff between him and George. Ethan Hawke is like, please, my son, this kind of stuff. We could barter with you. There's $1,000 that George handed him earlier as a way to refund the fact that it was an inconvenience. They came back early and interrupted their trip in their home, by the way. And then, yeah, just an appeal for this and whatever. All this stuff. They get the medicine. Apparently, Archie's okay. And then Ruth is suddenly surrounded by the deer. We cut back to that. Danny, by the way, referenced a bunker built by this, this neighboring house near them called the Thorns, I believe. This movie was a thorn in my side and in my brain and everything, and it will never ever leave. It has poisoned me on filmmaking forever. And Ruth is suddenly surrounded by these deer that are not doing anything except they're surrounding her. They're not doing it, they're not attacking, they're not feral or none of this. And then suddenly Julia Roberts and Ruth just start doing this. They're literally just screaming for a while. It's so nuts. And they keep cutting back to where Danny and George are having this standoff. It's incredible just how inept this movie is and how inept it was before this. And then once they get back in the car after getting the medicine, giving Kevin Bacon the money, which probably was, his payment in cash for being in this tripe. I thought You Should Have Left was a terrible movie for him. But nevertheless, George is basically saying, I didn't want to believe that something like this would happen. And George knew. Whatever his job is, he knew. There's 3 stages to this. Isolation, synchronized chaos, and noises and all that. And then if it all works, stage 3 happens on its own. Civil War, and take their technology away and, watch it unfold. It's just the monsters are due on Maple Street from the Twilight Zone, except done way worse. And Rose is in the goddamn deal. While everybody's looking for her, Rose is in this house, this Thorne's house. She breaks in. Apparently the Thornes are dead, or they just were vaporized. She's eating these snacks. She goes into this bunker, and they have all these, all this stuff, this great setup and everything, this technology, the, alerts and all that. And when she finds a bunch of DVDs, and she finds Friends, and pops in the finale, and then it plays the Friends theme. Eat fucking shit, movie. How dare you, Sam, call me Esmail? How dare you? You are my arch nemesis for life now. I think this might actually be the worst movie of the year. It's damn close. Still got a couple of weeks to decide. F, it gets an F. Fuck this. God damn it, this was bad. Wasn't thought-provoking, it was just bullshit. Agree, disagree, what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. Fuck this movie. I'll see you soon.